I am Father Ed Quinnan, the superior of the Jesuits in Micronesia and Fiji. I've always favored the feast of the Visitation as I was born on this feast, though previously it fell in July. I expect someone began counting the weeks between December 25 and the Visitation and decided that it had to come earlier in the year. Still, I think of it as my birth feast day. It's a remarkable reunion of Elizabeth and Mary, isn't it? The woman thought to be sterile, but now with child welcomes the Virgin who is with child. The meeting speaks to me of God at work in God's time, not ours. In the Gospel of Luke, Elizabeth offers the words, "So has the Lord done for me, at a time when he has seen fit to take away my disgrace before others." Would not Elizabeth have wanted her child to come when her contemporaries were having theirs? Wouldn't she have wanted a child when she was younger and better able to handle the pregnancy, to have years to enjoy a child? Instead, God asked something more of Elizabeth while hearing her prayer and granting it, but in God's time, not hers. Luke tells us that Elizabeth went into seclusion for 5 months, preparing for her child. Mary too would have had her plans. What young woman would not have envisioned her wedding and anticipated it with delight? Yet everything is abruptly changed with the Incarnation. In the Gospel of Matthew, we are told of Joseph's withdrawal from Mary, his intent to quietly divorce her. It was only when he was visited by an angel in a dream that he came around. This must have been a frightening time for Mary. A woman of Israel could have been stoned for carrying a child not of her husband, her fiancé. Yet God is about something new and asks Mary to bear his son. Mary journeys to Elizabeth. What prompted her to leave the safety of her home to walk the roads of an occupied country? Wasn't it a risk for a young woman to be on the road? Yet something prompts Mary. Love for Elizabeth, who might have been her mother or her grandmother's age? For 3 months, Mary joins Elizabeth in her confinement. There is a richness of detail in this account, and then there is the beauty of the two women speaking. Elizabeth recognizes the mother of the Messiah and speaks of her child leaping in the womb. Mary talks of God's mercy on those who fear or respect God. God disperses the arrogant of mind and heart. God lifts up the lowly. Much of this would be a surprise to Mary's contemporaries, used to the rich and the powerful winning the day. These two women had to let go of their plans so that God's plan could come to fruition. I believe we too are called to walk with God, to let God's plan reach fruition in us. Surprise is part of the journey. The surprise need not be welcome, but with time we can begin to see it as a blessing. I think this needs practice, though, to ask whether the unexpected could be God at work. In 1920, Pope Benedict XV asked the Jesuits to go to Bombay, India. 10 Jesuits from the US, from the East Coast, volunteered. The British government, who was in charge, however, would not provide them with visas. So instead, the US Jesuits were sent to the Philippines, and the Spanish Jesuits who had been in the Philippines were sent to India. As the US Jesuits were now in the Philippines, they were also asked to work in neighboring Micronesia. How must those 10 Jesuits have felt when all their plans were put on hold? What of their preparation for the cultures and the peoples of India? Were those preparations a waste? Were the Spanish Jesuits uprooted and sent to India, something for which they were unprepared? Was this God at work? Were these surprises actually blessings? The Jesuits of Micronesia this year celebrate 100 years since the sending of those Jesuits from the mainland. In my 40 years of membership in the Jesuits, I have heard many stories of God gracing these men. And now I've joined them. I had volunteered to do retreat ministry in Micronesia. Being made superior was not a welcome addition. I was to leave the province staff in 2019, but the superior's position was opening in 2020. My provincial told me he wanted me to continue on the province staff till 2020. Then I could have 3 months sabbatical, after which I would go to Pohnpei for retreat ministry. Well, COVID-19 intervened. I could not get to the retreat houses in Thailand and Singapore for my sabbatical. I could not get to Pohnpei either. All right, God, what do you want of me? Was my preparation for Pohnpei wasted? The closest I could get was Guam or Saipan. I'd met with Bishop Ryan, who was eager to have the Jesuits. I told him I thought we could station 1 Jesuit on Saipan. Instead, 5 of us arrived. Is this one of those blessings? After Brooklyn and the pandemic, Saipan has felt like an oasis. I deeply appreciate being in a place where the churches were open. I could celebrate Mass again. Many of the residents of Saipan have treated us as a blessing. That too speaks to me of God at work. We Jesuits have had a long history of ending where we did not intend. Our founder wanted the community in Jerusalem. The Pope at the time told him, "Rome can be your Jerusalem." Ignatius died in Rome, seeing his Jesuit brothers spread across the globe. I don't see God sending COVID-19 so my brothers and I could be in Saipan, but I do see God taking advantage of disruptions in travel to bring about unexpected blessings. We have lived through more than a year of tragic events. It has been a time where we have witnessed heroic acts and great spirit. I feel the invitation to attend to the blessings. I hope you do as well. Can we not better appreciate the journeys of Mary and Elizabeth as we reflect on our own journey through a pandemic? Are we able to identify with the blessings resulting from the disruption of our routines? I recommend that you open the Gospel of Luke and in chapter 1 pray the Canticle of Mary, also known as the Magnificat. Savor the ways in which God's disrupting of normal patterns can produce blessings, especially for those left out. Perhaps you can take the time to reflect on this past year. What were your surprises? What blessings came about because of the disruption of your normal pattern of life? I hope you can offer a prayer of thanksgiving for your blessings. And thank you for allowing me to share this with you. Amen.